Hey guys, it's a podcast with two young hosts. Goose's Wrestling Pod. We're
So
super young,
young.
super
We're
young.
super young. I know who Limba is. She's a
Dua
singer.
Lipa. It's Dua
You
Lipa.
Limba.
We know who Dua Lipa is, so we're
You
really young.
Limba, yeah. She's a singer, dude. You
Yeah,
don't know that. You're fucking old.
you're old. Hey guys, really quick. I know we hit huge numbers for WrestleMania. If you're returning, leave a comment. Let us know if you want to see video on these. And also, since I want to say this early, since I know maybe some of you show up the podcast after a few minutes, please subscribe, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on iTunes, and leave comments what you like, what you don't like. Let us know that you're out there. We had a ton of viewers WrestleMania 6. I know this is not WrestleMania 6. It's better because RoboCop's here. But so we might have less viewers. But if you are a returning viewer from WrestleMania 6 or for Capital Combat 90, please leave us a comment if you want video, if you don't want just a still image of RoboCop, or if you want more RoboCop. Speaking of RoboCop, I'm wearing an official WCW shirt.
You know what I would like to request? If
Yeah,
if Ray and I have an argument, please let us know whose side is right
yeah, do that.
and why it's me.
No, it's always going to be
No,
me.
but for real, if we get an argument, if you're listening, pick a side and let us know who's right
Andrew,
according
what do
to
you
how
think of
you
this
guys.
RoboCop shirt?
I didn't know you had a RoboCop shirt. It's all right. It looks like the cover of the
Yeah,
movie poster.
it's the
Yeah,
post.
I RoboCop 1 is the one where the guy gets put into the toxic waste, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think this is RoboCop. Like, if you RoboCop 1 was a great movie, and this was RoboCop 2, and I think this is when people stop taking RoboCop seriously because RoboCop is a very serious, great movie, and I never saw two. I never saw two. I still got to fix that. But before we get into Capital Combat 90, I just want to say that if Vince McMahon in 1990 decided that RoboCop was going to save the Ultimate Warrior, he would have made it the most spectacular save of all time. It would have been the center of the show. Probably would have ended the show. He would have hyped it, and everyone would have loved it. This show, the main problem with this show is I was told my whole life how bad it was, and how cheesy it was that RoboCop comes out. You can see that they're annoyed that they have to put a RoboCop the entire show. He comes out and he's forgotten about. And it's like, well, if you're going to do it, fucking do it. Fucking own it. If you're going to have RoboCop show up, own it. And that's the problem with this fucking company. I mean, overall, what do you think of my thoughts that Vince would make it a huge deal? If he
I think he
decided,
would have. I think examples of that is when they had that zombie battle royal or whatever.
mm,
Where they killed John Morrison.
and
If you're
he
gonna do
stayed
it,
dead, so it really worked. It was a great
yeah,
movie.
if you're gonna do it, no matter how cheesy it is, just do it. Do Mountain Dew pitch black match. Like do the
Do it
whole
and own it.
yeah, like if you're gonna take a sponsorship's money, just do the whole damn match based around it. Be like, yeah, Mountain Dew pitch black match featuring Bray Wyatt. Right? Like go all the fucking way. Because if you half-ass it, what's gonna happen is you're gonna piss off your fans and you're gonna piss off your sponsors, right?
Here's a
You
great
might as well just piss off one group of people, and
yeah.
just go all the way. I think.
Great
I
example, the Slim Jim Battle Royal. Nobody wants to see a fucking Battle Royal this weekend at SummerSlam. And those wrestlers didn't want to be in a Battle Royal. Michael Cole didn't want to call a Battle Royal. Guess what they all did? They all gave 110% because Slim Jim gave everyone a ton of fucking money, and the crowd went nuts when LA Knight won. So it's like you can roll your eyes at this shit or sell it.
Did you see LA Knight Slim Jim commercial
Yeah, the Macho
with
Man.
Bianca Belair? Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, and he had a little bit of Macho Man in there. Yeah,
So, like, yeah, that's my thing. It's like, just own it. And that's the problem with this show. I mean, there's a lot of problems. The problem with this show is I'm so excited to see a pay-per-view based around RoboCop.
there
And
were some things about this show that I didn't think were bad, but some things
no, there's
were.
something, no, there's not. There were things that weren't bad, but I mean, that's the main takeaway I got is like, you decided, I could tell when you listen to Jim Ross and Jim Cornette, they decided RoboCop was going to suck before it happened. You and Conrad Thompson, they all just decided this is going to stink. And you can argue it stinks, but people remember this show because of Robocop. If Robocop doesn't show up on this show, do you think people talk about this show ever?
No.
Yeah, exactly. So fucking just have fun with it. Like, just this whole like it's not going to work before it happens. All right, well then why then you know what? Just quit the fucking company. You know,
I mean, but this is why it's WCW.
that's
Guys.
why it's over. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, this is why it's WCW. This is not. This is not like WCW. In my opinion, if I was starting a wrestling company, would not be a company I would model my company after. You know
Well,
what
I
I'm
think if
saying?
Tony, I think Tony Khan should just. I'm sure
Like,
he's.
I know that's what Tony Khan does with a lot of his AEW, but I don't understand why. It's a
I
failed
mean,
company. It's been
I,
around less. It's been around for less time than fucking Ring of Honor, right? It's been around for less time than TNA, and the fact that like um he's modeling it after that company that's been around like that, and the only time it's been profitable when it was really under the NWA idea with that's from Eric Bischoff,
the
right? Let's
NWO,
be
NWO.
honest. He's the one, yeah, NWO, right? That idea that came from Eric Bischoff. That's the only time it's really been profitable. And this
I
guy, Tony Khan, he chooses to model AEW after WCW, except for that time period and except for inviting that guy over, Eric Bischoff, which was when it was the most successful. It's very weird. That's the if I had a wrestling company, if I was starting my wrestling company, you know which company I would try to base my company around?
WWF.
Yeah, because why?
Okay.
Because they're the most successful. I would look at WWF's business model and I would say, what are the things that work? What are the things that don't work? Maybe not do the things that don't work and try to focus on the things that do work and try to see if I can replicate it or whatever.
I
You know?
think I think WCW's business model from 96 to 97, I think you can emulate that because the thing that makes 96, and when we get to it, you'll see, is that Hogan no longer can work as well as he could back in the 80s, but his matches are purely storyline driven. So you got the work rate in the purest Japanese Mexican style at the beginning of the show, and at the end of the show, the match may not have been as great. The storytelling is amazing, and I think that's a model that you can emulate. If I was
Yes.
TNA, but no, they never do that. They just think like, well, the Rey Mysterio Jushin Thunder Liger match. What if they're all like that? No, people bought the pay-per-views for Hogan Savage or Hogan Piper, but this time Hogan's the bad guy. But when they saw Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero or fucking Dean Malenko versus Chris Benoit, that kept them involved. The key is, and WCW didn't do this, is eventually Rey Mysterio or Chris Benoit has to interact with Hogan and Savage in a meaningful way, and they never did that. You know,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
Malenko and Benoit have to become the Hogan Savages, and then the Orange Cassidys and the fucking AJ Styles come up. You know, they didn't know how to do that.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, let's get into this Capital Combat,
Mm-hmm.
the return of Robocop. That's the tagline. Taking
Because
place on
RoboCop 2
May.
was coming out at the end of the month. It came out Memorial
So
Day.
this Capital Combat takes place on May 19th, 1990, and you're saying RoboCop 2 is premiering on
In a few weeks.
Memorial Day of 1990, so in a few weeks. So that's what they did this to promote RoboCop. It's called Capital Combat because it's taking place in Washington D.C. They say the attendance is 7,500.
Wow, they
Uh,
beat Tony Khan's record.
it what?
They beat Tony Khan's record. I'm joking.
Yeah, he did. They did better. That's dude. Webley can't do those numbers. This is so when you watch this, the intro to Capital Combat is like you get a top secret file, and he opens it up, and it reads from the desk of some gobbledygook. I can't read the fucking signature. It goes, "We need to discuss the ramifications of the recent Sting Flair altercation involving the role of Sting in the Four Horsemen. this unfortunate event has regrettably brought to light some classified information that we were unwilling to release to the public. And then you get like newspaper clippings flying by of Sting getting injured. You get video clips and stuff, wrestlers flying out of the file, and it ends. This intro video graphic ends with an Asian gong. Gong. I don't understand. I thought like was Muda supposed to come back in this?
I think
Why
it's
don't
Robocop getting the file that he has to head to WCW to.
this is so weird. I was like, yeah, what does this classified file and this gong have to do with Capital Combat? I don't get it. But it was all right. It's a shot, you know. I will give WCW this. They do try things differently than the WWF at this time. Like they're the ones who really did the rap intro of its song, right? Remember that? The rap? And then they're doing
They
this
were
weird.
ordered. They were ordered to put RoboCop on this show.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, whether or not if it's ordered or not, they are trying something different. So I'll give them that.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Schiavone's the host. He's back. He's back in WCW.
Back where he belongs.
Yeah. You know what? I'll be honest with you. He does fit WCW. You know?
And he fits AEW.
He does. Tony Schiavone really does fit AEW like a glove, and he fits WCW. I would even say I think Tony Schiavone fits in AEW even more than he does in WCW.
Yeah. Well, I think he adds. He's the bridge. You know, the thing that makes Tony Schiavone work so well in AEW is he really was never. He never was in WWF ever again, and he didn't do TNA. I think looking back, if I could change one thing about TNA, he did one episode, but he was a character. He was a villain.
Yes.
By the way, we're going to cover that because I've decided that we're going to cover all the weekly pay-per-views when we get there. When we get there, hopefully we're married with families before then, and we don't do this podcast anymore. But fucking Tony, I if I can make one change to TNA, I would have had them hire Tony Schiavone and like have him be the voice. But my whole point up to you is that because he was away for so long, he kind of makes this feel more like successor to WCW than the other shows.
Yeah, I can see that. I will say though, I did enjoy Don West and Mike Tenay. I thought that was a fine.
We'll wait till we have to watch them every week. We'll see how you feel.
Anyway, Tony Schiavone's the host, and he introduces a brass band of guys in old colonial outfits with guys with flags, and they start playing the national anthem. I thought it was kind of nice. It ends with fireworks, and they show you the crowd. And when you see the crowd, it looks half empty. And here's
that's the other thing they were really bad at. They didn't know how to hide empty seats when they
I was so curious about this. I read it. This is what I read. Okay, due to a printing error on the tickets, the starting time of the show was listed at 8 p.m. instead of 7 p.m., leading to the first couple of matches taking place in front of half-full arena, which is true.
Did this 2 years ago at They did this 2 years ago at Bunkhouse Stampede as well in '88. So this is a constant problem.
That's WCW in a nutshell. They keep making the same mistakes over and over again. Anyway, the event ended up drawing 7,500 paid spectators, not quite filling the 10,000 seat arena. Okay, the first 3 matches of the show were not included when Turner Home Entertainment later released the show on VHS.
Well, thank God we're watching it on Peacock where we can see.
Yes, the first 3 matches became available once they all appeared on a WWE network in 2014.
That's crazy because those 3 matches, to me, they're not the greatest, but they make this a full show. Like, if you don't have these 3 matches, it's not that great of a show.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree.
By the way, again, it's so much nicer to watch the WCW shows on Peacock than WWE. There was so much less commercial breaks.
Yeah. Peacock does not give a shit about WCW shows.
So, like, if you're watching Capital Combat, we actually don't want your business.
Yeah. We're gonna show you 3 commercials only, or something like that. Anyway, Tony Schiavone, he passes it on to the commentators, and it's Jim Ross and Bob Caudle, who run down the card, and he mentioning Robocop's gonna be here. But before we get there, we got to go through some matches. The first match we're gonna get is going to be Kevin Sullivan, Bam Bam Bigelow, and Cactus Jack versus Road Warriors and Norman and the Lunatic. And the first thing we see before any of these wrestlers is a bare-chested Oliver Humperdinck, which is disgusting. He has Eddie Kingston body.
I'll tell you what, Bam Bam Bigelow with that fucking, that guy never wore that again. He had Eddie Kingston vibes with that outfit he had on.
Yeah, Eddie. So if you guys visualize Bam Bam Bigelow, he's wearing like a whole full body suit, like black tights, but it's got flames on it. And this one, the
He's
top
wearing a
shirt,
white beater.
yeah, the top shirt looks different. It just doesn't look good. I don't know why he changed it up, but he just changed it up, I guess.
He never went back to it, thank God, because it's all about how you present yourself. That's the thing, dude. I realized this. Like, I'm like, okay, if Eddie Kingston dressed differently, he wouldn't be so offensive to me as a human being. But like, it's all about your appearance. Because Bam Bam changes one thing, he looks like a fucking loser, and then when he has his regular outfit, he looks like a star.
Absolutely. No, I think that's it. Honestly, for me, Eddie Kingston, if you're just changing his gear, it would make a world of difference, 100%. Yeah. But right now, he looks like he has Sir Oliver Humperdinck's body, and this guy stinks. I hate Sir Oliver Humperdinck. I really don't like him. I don't know why. I don't know why he's constantly around Bam Bam Bigelow. I don't get it.
Well, he goes away after this. You never see him. I mean, you don't see him in WWE after the '90s. So
great. So anyway, the Road Warriors, they came in riding behind some dudes on some Harleys, and their tag team partner Norman the Lunatic, he came in riding a scooter. Get it?
I thought that was funny.
Yeah, because he's supposed to be from a mental institute, so he's like a fat guy.
He's a retard. So yeah.
Let me ask you a question: why are so many why is Norman a name that is often used for like people for men who are psychotic?
Norman Bates, Psycho.
Yeah, but I'm saying, is that why? Like Norman Osborn, this guy Norman the Lunatic, it's all come because of Psycho?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Anyway, before this, they show you a sign in the crowd during this match, and it says Cactus Jack for mayor. Cactus Jack's already getting over, baby. Cactus and Animal, they start, and Animal hits a fucking terrible looking big boot on Cactus. Norman the Lunatic, he's wearing a really fun Norman the Lunatic shirt. It's got his face on it. Can you get that shirt, dude?
I don't know. That might be hard to get.
That's a cool looking shirt. I won't lie. It's got the same like Tito Santana vibes. Anyways, during this match, this is actually a fun opener. Animal and Bam Bam have really good chemistry together. The fans are loving this. Cactus Jack, he's taking all sorts of crazy, painful bumps and falls outside the ring. Normal Cactus Jack stuff. The finish of this match is Hawk hits a flying clothesline on Kevin Sullivan for the win. I thought this was a good 10-minute opening match. What did you think?
I thought this was a good opener. This was my favorite Road Warrior match in this little WCW run they had. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Kevin Sullivan looks awful. And so does Bam Bam. But other than that, and so does Oliver Humperdinck. Cactus Jack guy looks like a star. And but like this is also the last match they go to WWF the next month. So this is it for the Road Warriors.
Oh, the Road Warriors?
Yep.
What's happening here? Why did they go to money?
They wanted more money, and Vince was going to give it to them. So
yeah, I see. Hey, that's the name of the game.
And then
let's go to match number 2.
That was it for Demolition.
I'm sorry, what?
That was it for Demolition. Once he got the Road Warriors, he turned the Demolitions into jobbers. So
yeah, that's too bad too. That's so weird too, because like Demolition was like his creation.
Yeah, it was. That was the one time he kind of taught people were like Bruce Pritchard's like, no, they weren't like our Road Warriors ripoff. Like the minute you got the Road Warriors, you could not like you had the Road Warriors destroy Demolition, like, and then they became jobbers, and then he became the Repo Man. They never had. They never. I feel like now he would eventually have had Demolition destroy. Like Vince now would have had Demolition squash the Road Warriors at the end of the feud, but now
is there another instant where he can't get an act, so he creates his own version of it?
Akeem for Dusty Rhodes.
Well, that was more like a mock a
Yeah.
mocking thing. Like,
I'm trying to think here. I feel like there's an '80s one that we're not remembering. Mm.
there's no like he can't get the Young Bucks, so he creates his own version of the Young Buck situation. You know?
I mean, he had the Young Bucks before. He had Paul London and Brian Kendrick. So
Yeah, I think the Demolition is like the only example I could think of where they're clearly
the Road
basically
Warriors.
a ripoff of the Legion of Doom. They're
Yeah,
100%
and
off.
once he got the Legion of Doom, he just fucking.
Yeah, and just weird because
And
you
they were.
like,
It's not like they were no longer over. Like even as
yeah,
a kid, I was like, why are they suddenly like losing all their matches? And it was because he got sick of them. He was like, I
yeah,
got, I
it's so
got what I
weird.
got what I really wanted. I don't need you.
Yeah, yeah, it's so weird. It's very weird. But all right, I think that's the only example of that you could
Yeah,
see something
you're
like
gonna
that.
see at the next show, SummerSlam in 2 weeks. That's when he starts just giving up on them.
Mhm. Like you never seen him create his own version of Sting. You know, there's
No,
no
well, I think he
WWE
thought, well, I
version.
have a better version of Sting, the Ultimate Warrior, and he came upon that by accident. So.
Yeah, I guess. All right, let's go to number two. Match number two: Johnny Ace with no Shane Douglas comes out by himself with some Beach Boys shitty rip-off music versus Mean Mark with Theodore Long. So, what happened here? Why is Johnny Ace coming out by himself,
Shane
not a
Douglas
Dynamite
went to
Kid?
WWF.
Shane Douglas up for WBF here. Okay. During the intro of this match, you see fucking Kevin Sullivan, Bam Bam Bigelow, and Cactus Jack doing the walk of shame back,
I
and
know,
they
and also
fucking
an Undertaker almost bumps into them, and he looks
yeah,
annoyed.
they fucking ruined Mean Mark's intro shot. I was like, God damn you guys! They're just
Mhm.
like doing the slow walk, and like Undertaker has to wait for him to fucking get out of the shot so he can run out. It's so fucking bad. Um, this is weird when they're introducing Mean Mark. Not only does that fucking little thing
Teddy
happen,
Long has to run to catch up to him. He like forgot his.
yeah. Not only do they do that, they bill him as being from Metropolis.
Yeah,
That's not a real place, dude.
I know.
Why did they throw
I
like
don't know
from
why they. I
Metropolis?
don't know why they do because
I didn't get it. I was like,
he doesn't even look like a
Metropolis.
Superman villain or something. I
Yeah, I
mean,
was like, Metropolis is not a real place. It's like Gotham City. It's like this doesn't make any sense. Um, this is there's so much like wrong with this, and it's none of it's Undertaker's fault. You know, like even on commentary, Jim Ross and Bob Caudle, they don't understand what his gimmick is. So they're just trying to tell you like things about him that makes
dude,
him look mean.
you know what they said about him, and it killed his mystique for me for all time. And sometimes I think Jim Ross overshares. It makes these guys too human. He said Mean Mark has a degree in sports management, and I'm like, so is this guy going to become an agent if this wrestling career doesn't pan out? Like I can't picture Mark. I can't picture Undertaker having a degree in. Yeah, actually, I have a degree in sports management. I could help you run this baseball team. Rest in peace. Like it's just like now you've just killed the Undertaker for me with this. I
It's
don't.
not,
How does that get him over?
it's not just that. It was like all this weird stuff they were saying. Like they were going like Bob Caudle goes like, his favorite pet is a snake. I'm like, what does that have to do with him being mean? Like, doesn't make
Yeah,
any sense. And then Jim Ross is like, his favorite singer is Ozzy Osbourne. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? None of this stuff means
and none of
anything
it
to me.
makes him more interesting. It just makes him more like a regular guy, like just a regular
Yeah,
guy.
it made him like seem less special, and it really made me like want to dislike him because it felt like they were trying too hard. You know, when somebody tries too hard, it makes
They
you
didn't know
dislike.
what the character was because he has no
Yeah.
character.
So anyway, one thing about this match, though, about Johnny Ace versus Mean Mark, Bob Caudle, he does say these two will be around for a long, long time. Let me get you.
Right
He
about
was
that.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was fucking right about that. Anyway, the finish of this match, Mean Mark, he throws. I'll tell you about Mean Mark. He throws a really good heart punch. That's like his finishing move. He
Mhm.
throws like a fucking. It looks good. That's one of the best heart punches I've ever seen. He throws a heart punch, and then when Shane's on the mat, he goes up on top and he
Johnny.
does when Johnny,
He
sorry,
does the rope walk. Yeah.
yeah,
He does it
he does
fast.
the rope walk elbow drop, similar to if you see Xavier Woods, he does a top rope walks and then he does an elbow drop. That's what Mean Mark did for the finish. I was honest with another good 10-minute match. You know, good finish. They do a slam-o-meter on the elbow drop. They give it an 8.2.
Well, good. I'm glad they have their slam meter on. Uh, I gotta tell you, man. Again, watching him there, I don't see anything special. I mean, we all know what happens, but just if you're just basing this guy in this match, I don't see anything special about him. And I mean, he is the example. He is the ultimate example of how Vince's machine can work. Because if he had never become the Undertaker, I don't know where he would have went in life. You know, because he's a good worker, but there's nothing special. And I've always heard like he didn't want to jump during the Monday Night Wars because he was loyal to Vince. He don't. No, 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 no. I think he knew if he has to go back to because he'd have to go back to being Mean Mark if he goes to WCW during the NWO era. I think he knew Nash can talk, Hall can talk, Hogan can talk. I can't talk. So if I jump over and join the NWO, I'm gonna be exposed as I have no fucking charisma unless I'm standing there like a fucking zombie. So I think that's why he never jumped. He knew that being the Undertaker was really the only thing that could get him over. I mean, the match was fine. I just don't see anything special about him as himself.
I don't know, man, because the American Badass character.
But I think when he becomes that, he's more confident. He had 10 years under his belt. Now he's like, I'm gonna try to be myself now. I'm talking about 96 Undertaker.
Oh, okay. I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. But anyway, better showing this match than the other one.
I mean, definitely a better. He is getting better every match, but I just still he's very forgettable until he becomes the Undertaker, and then it's game on.
Yeah. Now comes one of my favorite parts of the show. Gordon Solie, he's in the back and he's walking towards Sting's locker room, and there's guards standing in front of it. This is a do not enter sign, and you can see a very bright light behind those closed doors, and you hear like walkie-talkie sound effects, like because get it, because that represents RoboCop for some reason. And Gordon Solie, he does like a recap of what's been happening with the Horseman and Sting feud and why RoboCop is actually here, right? He's trying to make sense of all this, right? And RoboCop is there to protect the little stingers, guys. That's what he's there for, to protect the little stingers. And Gordon Solie gets very serious as he's talking about this. None of this is a joke to him. He looks dead at the fucking camera, and he says, the Horsemen, they made threats to the little stingers. Okay, these are fans, the little stingers. The Horsemen made threats, but you know what? This is Gordon Solie's own words. Sting's heart is bigger than that. All right? He's concerned about the little stingers. And that's why he got RoboCop to watch the little stingers' backs. Gordon Solie is so fucking good at his job, right? It is so fucking good. The seriousness in his voice, the dramatic pauses as he's talking about something. This is the stupidest thing you could be talking about, RoboCop, right? And little stingers. But this guy is making it so serious. It's fucking fantastic.
And that's why the contempt everyone else has with ideas. Like, you got to sell it if you're going to do it. And,
yes, you got to sell like this. How many drinks do you think Gordon had before he did this?
Probably had 50. The fact that he had
dude was on fire. I watched this. I was like, I wish this guy would do all the backstage segments, man. He's just fantastic,
Oh, yeah.
Great. You didn't like it?
No, I loved it. What are you talking about? I loved it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I loved everything. Great. I loved everything with RoboCop. But up until a certain, when we get to the ending, I'll tell you why. Like, I kind of felt like the ending was a fuck you to the RoboCop idea. But
yeah, possibly, yeah. So anyway, Tony Schiavone, he is with the Rock and Roll Express. Robert Gibson's eye is actually starting to look really wonky at this point. They cut a promo on the Freebirds, and then they cut a promo on the Horsemen as well. Ricky Morton is so much better than Robert Gibson at everything, I think. Wrestling and in fucking promos. You know? Yeah, we're going to go... What?
He is, and he was, yeah.
Yeah. Let's go to match number 3. It's Captain Mike Rotunda and Wildfire Tommy Rich versus the Usos. We got Fatu and the Savage. You know, it's like, oh, I hope the Savage doesn't turn on Fatu here. Just we can't have this.
Bloodline 1.0.
Yeah, we can't have this, man. Save it for us, Slamboree 1991. Anyway, the Samoan SWAT team, before this match begins, they're trying to do their Samoan ceremony, and they can't do it because the fans keep like making fun of them. They try it like fucking 6 times. Finally, that happens. Anyway, the referee, he keeps missing the Samoans double team, but whenever the good guys are doing a double team, like Tommy Rich and like Mike Rotunda, the referee, his referee Pee Wee, he actually catches the good guys every single time. It's fucking annoying. And he sends this is even at the end, he sends Mike Rotunda's in the ring trying to catch, the fucking Samoans. The referee sends Mike Rotunda back, and while this is happening, Tommy Rich has a sleeper on one of the Samoans, and then the other Samoan comes from the fucking hits it from behind from the top rope, and then they cover Tommy Rich for the win, for the Samoans win. What did you think of match number 3?
Mike Rotunda. First of all, here's the main problem with the show. Again,
Yes.
way too many tag matches. Way
Yeah.
too many tag matches.
Yeah.
And they all blend together. And this one, Mike Rotunda and Tommy Rich. I mean, I don't know, like, did you really need this match on the card? I don't give a shit about Tommy Rich and Mike Rotunda. Captain Mike Rotunda, I don't care about. Like, maybe IRS Mike Rotunda, with barely that one too. Yeah, I didn't think it was that great. I thought it kind of sucked.
Yeah, it was. You're right. There's too many tag matches, and they do kind of all just start blending in. Yeah, absolutely right about that. Speaking of tag teams, Tony Schiavone, he's with the Steiner brothers. Scott Steiner's got a terrible looking haircut here, by the way. It looks awful. And it looks like a haircut he tried to do himself. That's how bad it looks.
Mm-hmm.
And Rick Steiner, he's still doing that autism gimmick where he's like stuttering while he's talking, not making eye contact, doing that. Anyway, I don't know. I want to know when he stops doing this.
I think like around like some point in 1990.
Okay. Anyway, they're cutting a promo on beating the crap out of Doom because they're gonna have a match later tonight with Doom.
Okay.
And they show you the sweepstakes winner, Mr. and Mrs. Better. They won the sweepstakes. What did they actually get? Money? What did they get?
They got to Robocop. They got to blow Robocop.
They got to bro, dude. That's fucking brother. That's well worth. That's worth all the money in the world. Let's go to match number 4, hair versus hair match. Missy Hyatt is the guest ring announcer, and Jay Tapper, world-renowned hairstylist, will be doing the shaving. I have no idea who Jay Tapper is. If you Google him, you will not get any information on this guy. Okay? He doesn't come up at all, Jay Tapper. Not at all. Anyway, this match is basically Paul Ellering versus Theodore Long, hair versus hair. Theodore Long is wearing boxing gloves, boxing helmet, and he's got a loaded glove. But Ellering steals that loaded glove, and then he hits Teddy Long with it for the win. Afterwards, Jay Tapper, he shaves a knocked out Teddy Long. What did you think?
I hated this. What a fucking waste of time.
What a waste of time.
Waste of fucking time. Dude, why am I supposed to not like Teddy Long? I don't understand. I feel like we're just supposed to boo him because he's a black guy. Did you hear
I feel like that? I think you hit the fucking nail on the head there.
Yeah, that he's just a black guy, and we're supposed to boo him, and he doesn't do anything like he never appears to do anything heelish.
No, he doesn't do anything heelish, and he's somewhat entertaining. So it's very weird why you have to hate this guy. You know?
Yeah, and Paul Ellering is just useless to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It was a waste. What a waste of fucking time.
It's a short match, but they still got more time than RoboCop.
It's a short match, but it feels like it went on for 20 years. It's so fucking bad. And just like, it was like offensively bad.
Yeah. All right. Tony Schiavone, he is with Arn Anderson and Sid. And they're cutting a promo on Lex Luger, and they call him the Final Horseman, Ric Flair, and he cuts a promo on Lex Luger. They all hate Lex Luger.
Okay, great. Yeah,
he was a former Horseman as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go to match number 5. for the U.S. titles. It's the Midnight Express with Jim Cornette versus Brian Pillman, and now being labeled as Z-Man, who are the champions, Tom Zank. Cornette has to be put into a cage, but he's not going in. So like basically, Brian Pillman and Z-Man, they force him in. The Midnight Express, they have really ugly, like flesh colored tights
He
here.
was told that he can't touch the cage because Robocop, the bars are made out of rubber. So if he touches it too much, it could break. So if you notice, he doesn't touch the cage.
No, but he's not going in at all, but they force him into the cage.
Oh, I know, but when he's in the cage, if you notice, he doesn't touch the bars. He just stands.
Oh.
He touches like the top, but he never touches the bars, which you would think he goes like, but wouldn't I try to shake the cage, the bars to get out? And they're like, no, you can't touch them. So he never touches the bars.
Basically, this match, Brian Pillman, he's getting worked on for the most of the match. Most of the heat's going on Pillman. He's even bleeding on his forehead. Basically, what happens at the end is Sweet Stan Lane, he hits a savate kick at the back to Z-Man's back, and then Bobby Eaton cradles him for the win. That's it. They won the U.S. tag titles.
I thought this was a good match.
It was okay. It was a very uneventful finish. It was just like,
yeah, I thought it was going to build something a little bit more exciting.
Brian Pillman just watched his tag team partner get covered.
What?
He just watched his tag team partner get pinned.
I know there's a couple of times where he just stands there and doesn't interfere.
Yeah, it's very weird. I don't think that doesn't make any sense to me logically.
I know, but I still liked it. I don't know, dude. Like, there's these tag matches. Like, what I realized when you have this many tag matches, they like there's only a few number of ways you can make a tag team match interesting, and when you have like 7 in one night or whatever the fuck, you realize that right away. It kind of exposes how limited tag matches are when all you do is tag matches.
So Capital Combat has 8 matches. And remember, 5 of them are tag team matches. Remember, one of them is the stupid hair versus hair match. So you're
more than half.
So you have 5 tag team matches and 2 regular matches. That's a lot of fucking tag team matches. Way more than you should have at least had one more singles match, like legitimate singles match.
I'm okay with there being like 2 or 3 tag matches on a show, but 5 is like you're out of your fucking mind at that point.
I will say, so at this point, this is match number 5, but this is like the 3rd tag team match we're watching. And remember, you might say 3 out of 5, it's not too bad. One of them was that stupid hair versus hair match. It's not even a real match, right? So it's really 3 out of the 4 tag team, 3 of the 4 matches you've seen so far are tag team. And I will say this: Bobby Eaton is very good. He is very.
Yeah, no, I like this match. I thought I enjoyed this match more than I thought. But you're like, hey, like why me? Because I feel like if every finish is the guy's trying to save, I think they had to like eventually, but one match the guy has to just stand there, so it makes the other matches special. That's why you can't keep booking these things, because you have to have. It just, I don't know.
Bobby Eaton did this one great move that I haven't seen a lot of people do at all. I think he had Brian Pillman. He fucking slingshotted him off the ropes and then put him into a fucking single leg backbreaker. I never seen that before, and I was like, wow, that's pretty fucking good. That could be like a finisher. I was like so impressed by it.
The Midnight Express is a good tag team, man, Judy.
Yeah. Gordon Soule, he's in the back in the locker room, and he's like, something's happening, guys, and Robocop's coming out. Robocop comes out, but they're like, oh, get that camera out of here. Get that camera out of here, because he's going to be on camera any minute now, so we can't have another camera be on him. Stupid as fuck. The camera cuts out because they're just like, don't let the camera on him. Anyway, right as soon as this is over, Sting comes out to the arena, the fans, and then Robocop comes out. But before remember, Robocop's a robot, so he's like walking like a robot. Before he can get like 3 steps in, the Horsemen come out and they start beating the crap out of Sting, and they put Sting in the cage, in that same cage that Jim Cornette was in. And then Robocop, he slowly starts doing his robo walk to the cage, and then he just grabs the bars and he rips it apart. But ripping it apart, the Horsemen are like scared of Robocop. They look at this and they're like, holy crap. and they don't run away. They just walk away. They just walk away. And then Sting comes out of the cage because Robocop broke the bars and he ripped the door off. Sting and Robocop, they look at the Horsemen, and then they just leave. And I'm like, this can't be that. Can't be it. It
But
was. This was it. This was all of Robocop you're gonna see. It's
well,
stupid. Oh
because
my god.
the way that suit is, you can't really move in that suit because the suit is so bulky. So the guy, I mean, first of all, the guy they have in the role who's an actor, so he can't do spots. But also, like, he can't. Also, but even if you had Eddie Guerrero in that suit, he can't do spots. So that's one thing. But then the other thing is, like, I just would have RoboCop come out. I thought my whole life that RoboCop came out at the end of the show and saved Sting from the Four Horsemen, right? He comes out in the middle. So then at the end, when the Four Horsemen are beating up like Luther, like, where did RoboCop go?
Yeah. But you're saying like he can't move too much and he's an actor and he can't move in that suit. You're telling me they couldn't do a spot where like Sting like Irish rips a wrestler into RoboCop and he just sticks his arm out and like it's
No,
like the guy.
because apparently if the guy could fall, if the guy fell over his back, he can't get up.
No, but RoboCop sticks his arm out and Sting throws a guy into his arm almost like a clothesline. You couldn't do that? Not even
Not in
that
that
spot?
outfit. Not in that outfit. I don't think you could do this in that outfit. See what I'm doing? I know some audio podcasts, I put my arm in a clothesline position. I don't think you could do that.
My God.
Maybe you could if you have people who know what they're doing. Do you really think Ole Anderson and Jim Cornette could get a Hollywood actor to do that spot without it going outrageously wrong? And then if RoboCop is lying there like a whale, like a fucking like a no, what's the animal, like a turtle? He's lying there like a turtle, and Sting has to pick him up. The movie studio would have probably sued them for making RoboCop look like an idiot right before RoboCop 2 comes out. Like, I know you're
like, dude, just stick your arm out and then we'll have some guy run.
Dude, that
Bobby
suit,
Eaton could have ran into it.
You can't do that with that suit. It's too constrictive.
My God, it's terrible. It was a waste of RoboCop. It was a waste of RoboCop.
He should have come out at the end.
Yes.
Because the way they do the closing angle, I thought was them shitting on, like, we're just going to do what we were going to do anyway. Like, we'll walk away from RoboCop, but then we're just going to have the angle we wanted if we weren't forced to have RoboCop. And it's like,
this is in the middle of the show. This is the middle, right?
Middle of the show, out of nowhere, and then it just goes back to the matches. And but that's my thing. You could feel the contempt for the idea, and that's what I don't like. I don't give a fuck. Is the RoboCop a bad idea? Sure. You got ordered to do it. Everyone remembers it. A couple weeks ago, what show you most excited for? You're like, the one with RoboCop. And I'm like, yeah, me too. I really want to see how they do it. We're all excited for the idea. We all remember it. It's no one gives a fuck about what Bobby Eaton's move. Fucking, and then you do it half-assed, and then you just fucking miserable about it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, why? Like, that's what people remember. Is fucking RoboCop. And
RoboCop should have clotheslined fucking Arn Anderson, dude. He should have. You
can't do it in that suit. The Laps fan did a thing about RoboCop, and they were talking about how, like, that suit, Jim Cornette told the actor had no movement. That's all the movement the actor could do in that suit.
Well, he could rip the bars.
Yeah,
right?
but the bars were basically that whole thing was basically.
What they could have done? Maybe do the head vice on Arn Anderson because it's the same motion, head vice.
He could have done that. Yes, that would have been good. But again, I don't think that actor. I think that suit is very, like, again, like, if you rewatch the RoboCop movies, he doesn't do much. He just stands there. I think that's what that suit was built for. This guy just to stand there. It's not built for him to, like, have movements, because Arn has to kind of fight back. And again, if he hit, you don't know, maybe like that fucking chest piece.
Well, if they can't, if that suit is so constricting, and there's not much that the actor in the suit can do, then I think they made the right decision not putting him in the main event.
Well, I just would have had him walk
What
out.
could he have done? What could RoboCop
I
have
would have
done?
had him walk out to the ring and the Horseman run away.
That's it. Just walk to the ring and it's a slow robotic walk and the horseman run away.
Yes. And then Sting and Luger go, "Thank you, RoboCop," and that's the end of the show.
Isn't that a little less than what he did here? Because he broke a door.
I know, but like the Horseman still beat up Lex Luger at the end. But maybe RoboCop doesn't like Lex Luger. He's like, I don't like that fuck guy. He's a loser.
You know what they should have done? They should have in the main event, the Horsemen come out and put Sting in the cage in the main event.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought always happened until I saw.
Oh.
Yes, okay. So they put Sting in that cage. Barry Windham comes out. They're beating up Lex. RoboCop walks out, breaks the cage. The Horsemen see that. They go, ah! They run through the crowd through the back, and then Luger's like, "Oh, RoboCop, I would have died if it wasn't for you." And Sting's like, "RoboCop's the best." And then
here's the thing: you could still do the ending that you wanted to do, and do so like Barry Windham calls the DQ, and then do the RoboCop thing afterwards, so that even though you're doing a shit ending where like you're fucking over Lex Luger again, the fans still leave happy.
How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet? Because they needed an excuse for that cage to be there, so they put Jim Cornette in the cage. How much you want to bet? Fucking, they were like to the wrestlers, all right, so Z-Man and Brian Pillman will co-main event with the Midnight Express. So we have the cage there. And like the Steiners and the Freebirds complain, why does Brian Pillman get on the cage higher than us? We're stars. They're not stars. So they were like, they had to have that match in the middle. So like, well, then we have to do the Sting RoboCop angle in the middle for the cage to be there. I bet you anything, Rick and Scott are like, we should be the semi-main event. We don't like Giselle Shaw. Like, why the fuck are
they're from Detroit. They don't sound like that.
Why the fuck does Z-Man? Why is the Z-Man? This is Michael Hayes. Why is the Z-Man in the co-main event? I don't give a fuck about RoboCop. I used to sell out the world-class arena sportatorium with the Von Erichs. I should be higher in the card. I guarantee you, that's why they did it in the middle.
Oh man, what a wasted opportunity. But all right, we got to move on.
We gotta move on from RoboCop. Just like their old
Tony Schiavone, he is with Junkyard Dog, who's not moving on from wrestling. And JYD says he's back, and he wants everybody. He wants the Horsemen. He wants me, Mark, everyone. Jim Cornette comes out. He goes, "Hey, this is really the time. It should really be for the time. This interview time should be saved for the new tag champions, not JYD." And he goes, "JYD, why don't you go away, man? Why don't you go away? What have you been doing, huh? I've been winning championships. What have you been doing? Where have you been?" And JYD goes, "Where have I been?" And he gives an address. And Jim Cornette's thinking about the address, and he goes, "Hey, wait a minute, that's my mom's house," right? Which I won't lie, I did get a fucking kick out of that. And you can hear Bob Cotto laugh. He's laughing at this. You can hear Bob laughing at this on commentary. And JYD ends it going like, "The dog is back." I like this.
I like that. Hey, wait a minute, it's my mom's house, because it's a way to get one up on Jim Cornette without like beating him up and to make him stupid. And the implications that Junkyard Dog is fucking his mom. But without saying it, like, I really like that. And I even like, dude, when Junkyard Dog said I want me Mark Callis, I was like, oh dude, that would have been amazing. Junkyard Dog Undertaker. Oh, I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah, and I like that. Anyway, I just like this. This was
I liked it too. I was like, oh, here, because I've been told now that Junkyard Dog's best days are behind him once we get to the 90s. I thought it was a pretty good promo from him, and I thought it was a good exchange.
Yeah, I actually think so too. It was good. Very quick and funny. Anyway, match number 6, the Rock and Roll Express. They come out on a moving sound stage with amps and a jukebox, and some fucking fan, he grabs Ricky Morton's hand and doesn't let go, and Ricky Morton almost fucking gets yanked back. Anyway, this is a corporal punishment match, guys. It's a Rock and Roll Express versus the Fabulous Freebirds, Michael Hayes and Jimmy Garvin. And what's a corporal punishment match? It's kind of like a strap match. They call it a strap match, but it's not really a strap match where straps are not tied to anybody or anything, and it's actually short. It almost looks like a belt, really. They should have just called it like a belt match because you just all you're doing is using these straps as weapons like a belt, and you're whipping people with it. And the thing is this: neither team are using this strap the whole time. They just use it a few times and they just get rid of it. I would have been using it the whole time, just whipping people to left and right.
Yeah, I thought they were corporate. I thought they were gonna just whoop each other the whole match. They barely use it. It's more like a
Yeah,
regular
they
match.
barely used it. Yeah, they barely used it. Right? Yeah, corporate punishment. I would have been using it the whole time. Yeah, exactly. It's legal. Anyway, I would have been choking motherfuckers with it, right? I would have been. They don't choke anybody. You just see them whip somebody in the back a few times, and then they put it back. Michael Hayes, the finish this match, Michael Hayes hits a DDT on Gibson because DDT is his finisher at this time. And instead of going for the cover, which the commentators say, why is he going for the cover? He fucking does a pose a couple times and he goes, you know what? I'm gonna hit one in there at DDT. So he sets up Gibson for another DDT, but this time Ricky Morton's on a top rope and he fucking sunset flips him into a cover for the Rock and Roll Express win. What did you think of match number 6?
I thought it was another good match, even though I didn't like the stipulation. I thought it was another fun tag match. I was surprised how much I liked this match, even though it was kind of really stupid. So I'll give him
Michael
that.
Hayes, I thought was very good in this match. He's got some good moves. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed this. I was not into it, and then when when it started, I was like, I'm not going to be into this. And then when they didn't really use the straps, I'm like, this is stupid, and I'm ready to like already like just write this whole thing off. Then it got kind of good, and I'm like, I kind of wish they just said this was like a regular no DQ match, and then they just started using the straps when they felt like it, rather than when they called it corporal punishment, you're waiting for the weapons to come in. You're not.
Yes. Yeah, they like you're right because like, when you say corporal punishment, you think it's gonna be a whole bunch of stuff being used, and it's not. It's just like a little belt, really, that's being used.
The problem I had with the tribal combat match. You're kind of expecting like special weapons or like this whole like presentation, and it was just a regular no DQ Extreme Rules match. Whereas just call it that, and I was very disappointed in that match, Jey Uso, Roman Reigns, but we got a long way to go until we get there.
Yeah, I think that's I've heard that same criticism that like what were the actual tribal rules,
Yeah, tribal. I thought it was gonna be like something really. It was pretty bad. It was. I also think that I think something's going on with Roman, which is why he.
Well, supposedly he got injured in that match.
But I also think like he's already not. There's something wrong with him, which is why he only has tag matches and why he only has like 4 single matches this year, and we're almost in September.
Could it be that he already was nursing a slight injury, and then during this match, it just got really fucking injured, and they were like, "This is either at the beginning or near the middle of the match, so we got the rest of this match has got to be fucking very ginger."
You know what I think? You know what I think it is, and no one will admit it.
What?
I think he has long COVID. Because
that's possible.
They cut back his schedule a lot after he got COVID.
That is possible.
Because remember, he had cancer, so I don't know. But like, yeah, I think that's why. I also think people like, oh, they've been the Jimmy thing was planned for a while. I think that they were gonna someone was either gonna come back or they were gonna sign somebody. It fell through, so they just had Jimmy turn on Jey to keep it going. That's what
I'm looking at it now, I'm reading it now. Actually, it was supposed to be Robocop. He was supposed to come in and challenge him, but plans fell through. They realized that he couldn't move in the suit, so they scrapped it for SummerSlam.
Anyway, Roman Reigns has long COVID. You heard it here. So let's keep with this show.
Hey, if it turns out being true, that'd be really interesting. All right, so Tony Schiavone, he is with the world's strongest man, Mark Henry, but then Mark Henry had to cancel. So they got the second world's strongest man, Doug Furnas, who is the world's strongest man at this point.
No, in 1990. No. There was a lot of stronger men than him. I don't know. Maybe he was. I don't know.
But that's what they introduced him as, the world's strongest man.
I know, but it really is Mark Henry. Mark Henry was alive, so it was him.
Yeah. And he talks about they interview him, and they're not even asking many questions about him. They're just asking about Lex Luger, right? That's all they ask about. He just talks about Lex Luger, and then Tony Schiavone goes, "All right, Doug, get out of here. Hey, Sting, tell us about Lex Luger." So basically, Doug and Sting just talk about Lex Luger. It was pointless. I was more interested in Doug Furness than I was in Lex Luger. I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
like,
he
who
goes
is
he
this
goes
guy?"
nowhere. Him and Phil LaFon have this really boring tag team in the late '90s WWF. He'll see.
Yeah, no, I know this guy's
And they also
fucking
wrestle in
Jim
ECW
Whiteside.
and bore
Yeah.
everyone there too. So
All right, match number 7 is for the World Tag Title. This will
oh,
be the last tag match we will see for tonight. It is Doom with Theodore Long versus the Steiners. Right before this match begins, Scott Steiner is having a face-off with I think Ron Simmons, and he just fucking shoves the referee down. The ref falls down. That should have been a DQ right there, right?
I think he did that. I don't think they knew he was going to do that. I think he just like
Yeah, he just shoved the referee. The ref falls and just like he's shocked. This is a hard hitting match. Both teams, they're just laying in the hits. Um, Rick and Butch, basically the finish of this match. Rick Steiner, he's up on the top row with Butch. Rick Steiner, it looks like he's setting up for a belly to belly from the top turnbuckle, or second turnbuckle, really. When Teddy Long, he's distracting the referee, and Ron Simmons, he grabs Rick Steiner by the hair, yanks him down, and as he's falling, Butch Reed falls on top of him for Doom to win the World Tag Team titles. Um, After this match, Tony Schiavone, he interviews Teddy Long and Doom on the title win. What did you think about this match?
I was really looking forward to it, and I didn't enjoy it that as much as I thought I was.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I was just tag teamed out, but I don't know. It just something about it didn't click. Did you like it?
I liked it. It was different from the other tag team matches in the sense that there's a lot of hard hitting. They were like really laying in
Oh
the
yeah.
close. Not a
And
lot
by
of
the way,
technical shit. Not a lot of technical stuff. Yeah.
Butch Reed looked like Butch Reed towards this era. I don't who the fuck did he piss off in wrestling? Because the minute he left WCW back then, I would have signed him in WWE. Him and
Yeah.
Ron Simmons look like stars, man.
Yes.
They look like Butch Reed looks like he looks like a star. He looks like this is the most remarkable. And then he after Doom, that's it. Maybe he got a job doing something. I don't know, but or maybe like
Both,
he didn't want to go to WWE. I don't know, but
even when I was a kid and I saw Doom and like trading cards, they both look like guys you would never want to fuck with, you
yeah,
know? And they both like it's not just Ron Simmons, Butch Reed when in this match, there's a couple of times where he's hitting the Steiners and you could hear it and you're like, those are hard hits, you know?
yeah,
And the Steiners are giving as much as they're giving as good
yeah.
as they get, you know?
No,
They're both the Steiner lines are hitting, the fucking Butch Reed and Ron Simmons are hitting. It's not like if you just like those like kind of hard hitting matches, this is one of those things, you know?
you have four fucking legit badasses, but I don't know. There was something. I just think I was tag teamed out, bro. At this point, I really do. That's what
Yeah.
I.
But I will agree with you. Butch Reed, I don't know why nothing happened.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's not like that he's bad in the ring either. He's just like he's
No,
not great. He's just an average guy, but you know.
but you know
I
what?
think he's an average guy who looks amazing.
I totally agree. The one smart thing Bill Watts does with WCW is put that belt on Ron Simmons. I think if you were gonna have a first black champion in WCW, this was 100% the guy, and it was. I think it was really smart to kind of. I think sometimes you have to do a chance like that because people thought Vader's gonna have a long reign, kind of like, and then Ron Simmons just beats him out of nowhere, and I think it was worth a shot. It didn't pan out, obviously, but it was worth it. I would have done the same thing I would have had both these guys as world champions. So
Yeah.
people
You
second
know what?
guessed it when he did it. I think it was a smart move
What was a smart move?
putting the belt on Ron Simmons when he did.
Oh yeah, 100%, dude. It was okay. So in 1990, Butch Reed was 36. So I'm trying to see if maybe it was his age or something. You know,
Yeah, but I mean, come on, you have fucking Betty
because
Brown.
Ron Simmons at this point is he's 4 years younger than Butch Reed.
Yeah.
So in 1990, Ron Simmons is 32, Butch Reed is 36. So maybe 36 had to do something with it. You think his age?
You know, Ron Simmons quit wrestling, was working as like a warehouse manager, and Vince and Bruce begged him to come back into wrestling, which was, I was like very like, oh wow, because like, but I mean, hey, that worked out for Ron Simmons. I think it's still working out.
So Butch Reed, he left WCW in 1992.
Mhm.
So that means he would have been 38 at this point. I mean, I can see why if
You could get like another like 3-4 years out of that.
I think you could have, but I could see WWE also going like, he's too old. We're not signing him for someone
I know,
that
but
old.
at that point they're losing like Warrior, losing British Bulldog. I mean, just have him as a heel for 4 years to put over Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, but whatever.
Yeah, if it was up to me, I
Maybe
would have signed him too.
maybe they just think he's a pile of garbage. Maybe Vince was like, I don't like that fucking guy. I don't know.
Maybe Junior saw his penis and was like, no, it's not big enough. Just called it a
I
day.
expect more from you.
Yeah. All right, match number 8. Our final match is a steel cage world championship match. It's a champion versus champion, really. It's U.S. champion Lex Luger versus the world champion Ric Flair with woman. The steel cage comes down, there's fireworks, and it looks pretty cool as it's coming down, but it's basically a different type of cage. It's a full cage, like Hell in a Cell, like it's got a cover. But unlike Hell in a Cell, it is not a chain link fence, but it's almost like it looks like that old school blue WWF cage where there's big squares, but it's not blue. It's just like thin metal. The referee before the match, woman is in the cage with them because the cage covers more than the ring. It covers some of the mat outside the mat as well. That's how big the cage is. He checks woman and woman because she's going to be in the cage as well. He finds an object in her glove because they were going to cheat, but you know, Lex Luger's smarter than that. Anyway, Ric Flair bleeds early in this match, and he keeps climbing the cage. And even Bob Cottle's like on commentary is like, why is he climbing the cage? There's no opening. There isn't. There's no opening on the cage. It's a completely closed. And Jim Ross has to cover for him, like, oh well, he's just excited, because
He's
it's not making any
excited.
sense. Yeah, like why the fuck was he climbing the cage? There was no point of him climbing the cage every time. And it's completely closed cage. And if you guys are wondering, like, oh, Lex Luger was not over, he is over. There's fucking fans they show you fans with the words Lex painted on their fucking chest.
This is the 4th main event title shot for Lex in 2 years, and he's still over as fuck.
Yeah, crowd loves him, and this is a typical Lex Luger versus Ric Flair match, meaning Lex Luger has control for most of the match from the beginning to like the middle, right? He's just beating on Flair. Flair's running the whole time, but something happens where Lex gets hurt. So in this case, they go for a superplex, and when they do the superplex, Lex Luger hurts his right knee, and after that, Ric Flair takes over. It's working on the knee, working on the knee, working on the knee, just beating on Lex Luger. And then the Horsemen, this is the Andersons and Sid, they come down, and Sid's wearing a tuxedo, right?
Yeah,
Why? Nobody else is wearing a tuxedo.
because he's a horseman and they dress nice. I guess he thought a tuxedo was.
But the Andersons are wearing tuxedo.
I don't know.
Why is he the only one wearing a tuxedo?
Because it's WCW.
So weird, dude. So I bet you, like, they're like, oh, put on your button down. Like, I don't have a button down. What do you mean you don't have a button down? You're a horseman. You gotta have a button down. Well, I don't have one. All right, but we gotta find someone. And like, well, the only thing we available is tuxedos. I think that's what happened.
I think you're right. I almost guarantee you're right about that.
Right. So the horsemen arrive, and just when they come to the ringside, that's when Lex Luger starts making a comeback, right? And the horsemen, they try to climb the cage, but remember, it's closed. It's fucking pointless. And then Sting comes down and he starts beating on the horsemen, but Sting's an idiot because it's like 3-on-1. So he's getting his ass kicked, and then fucking this El Gigante comes down. He's wearing like future like gear from the future. I legit, when I first saw it, I thought it was Robocop without the suit. because he's wearing like a futuristic outfit, and you're like, who's this guy? And they go, oh, it's El Gigante. And this guy is really tall, so he scares the horsemen away. But right before the horsemen are scared away, Ole Anderson's able to raise the cage up a bit. And then Barry Windham just comes out of nowhere and he slides in through the underneath the cage, and he attacks Lex Luger. And the referee calls for a DQ because it is to Lex Luger. So Lex Luger, once again, doesn't get the belt. He doesn't get the belt.
There's no DQ in a cage match.
Mm-hmm.
There's a DQ in this cage match. And Barry Windham is now back, and he's with the Horsemen.
This is like the third or fourth time this is happening to Lex Luger, where he's like winning, but he's not really winning, you know?
Yeah.
Do you know what it reminded me of?
All the Roman Reigns matches the last year?
No. Because Lex Luger's a good guy, right? He's the babyface. Probably what AWA was doing with Hulk Hogan.
Yes.
You know,
that's why he left.
Yeah.
That's why he left.
Hulk Hogan was smart enough to be like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. This
he knew, like, this booking's going to get me nowhere. I'm going to be that's why he left.
If he stayed there, the popularity of Hulk Hogan would have just dropped eventually.
That's the thing. It's like, yes, that's the thing. You know, that's the problem with what they're doing in WWE. I kind of feel like Triple H books more like WCW. You got Sami Zayn, the hottest he's ever been. You had him lose, and now he's just like everybody else. You got fucking you got Cody, the hottest he's ever been. He loses, and now it's like, okay, cool. And then you get the Usos, the hottest they've ever been. Now they both look like fucking idiots. It's like, how many now? So now what? Now people are gonna get behind LA Knight. And instead of having 5 amazingly hot baby faces in Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes, the Usos, and LA Knight, you're going to go down and just make them all look like buffoons. And then eventually you become WCW. I don't care how good business you're doing. But eventually people get sick of that.
There needs to be like one good guy face that is just like the top guy, you know?
Yeah.
Like a John Cena. Yeah.
There needs to be a guy who comes out like Ultimate Warrior and just destroys Roman, and you establish that he's the guy. The thing about the Warrior, when Warrior beat the Honky Tonk Man, I'm sure a lot of fans, I wonder if Warrior's ever going to be the guy. When he came out and destroyed Honky Tonk Man, it's like the clear indication he is on his way to become the guy. Or he's arrived, and they don't know how to do that anymore. They don't even, like, dude, they had the Miz kind of promo telling LA Knight he's just a fucking Attitude Era cosplayer, that he went nowhere for 20 years. And I'm like, why are you highlighting all his weaknesses? Like, it's almost like, I don't know, it's just like, would you have the Honky Tonk Man be like, you're on steroids, you don't know how to wrestle, you don't know how to cut a promo, you're an idiot, you know, like, no, he would.
Yeah. It was a very, I saw that promo. Luckily, LA Knight held his own, right? Yeah. But I agree with you. Why would you put emphasis on all his weaknesses? Exactly.
Because you don't want him to be over. You don't want LA Knight could be. I'm not saying he could be Ultimate Warrior, but right now he's your best bet. He's your last guy. He's the guy. He hasn't fought Roman yet. What if you just have? What if on Friday Roman Reigns goes, I'm putting out an open challenge. LA Knight comes out and beats him. What do you think's gonna happen? I'll tell you what's gonna happen. People are gonna remember that moment for the rest of their lives. No, SmackDown ratings are gonna go through the roof because people are like, I have to tune in every week. They don't have the balls to do that anymore. And that's what was happening with WCW. They didn't have the balls to just be like, we're gonna go with Lex. You know, like let's just we're feeling it, let's just do it. Lex never became what he should have been, and WCW went out of business. And
why is that though? Why? Like, I agree with you. I think if they did that, it would be pretty amazing. But they don't have the balls to do that anymore. Why is that? How come they don't want to do stuff like that anymore?
Talking about WWE?
Yeah. Why? Because they want nobody to be a bigger star than WWE?
Yes, because they want to control. They can argue it's working because they're hitting record profits every event. That's true. They will tell you, we will not tell them who is the top guy and who is the star. And if we try too hard, they're going to push back. And that's what we're doing with LA Knight. the reason why Miz went out and told LA Knight all the reasons why we shouldn't cheer him is because they're like, no. You guys don't really want LA Knight. And now they're like, all right, somehow you're not getting that message. So now we're going to put LA Knight to the test. We're going to have Miz go out and destroy him, try to destroy him on the mic. LA Knight, if you're so fucking great, if these fans are right, you should be able to get past this. You should be able to stay.
I thought he did.
I think, but I saw fans say he didn't. Like people who said, like, I like LA Knight now. So they want you, and I don't think they know. That's the thing. I don't think they know who their next Hogan or Cena is going to be. I don't think they see it in anybody, including Cody. They're waiting, but I think eventually you have to just you should have just had Cody win at WrestleMania. That's what you should have done. He didn't, but I just think that they don't want to be dictated to. And I even feel like in the Warriors case, they were kind of dictated to. They had to force their hand because Beefcake got injured, and they had to give the belt to Warrior. And eventually, they did get behind Warrior, became a legend. But I think now they're like, no, we had it in our heads that Brutus is getting the belt. We'll wait till he's not sick anymore or injured or whatever the fuck, and he's going to get the belt. But meantime, we're going to make Warrior look like an idiot because we have in our head that Beefcake is supposed to be here. And you're going to accept that Beefcake's supposed to be here. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they would do now. I think the last moment that they listened to the fans and they regretted was with Lex Luger, or WWF talking about. I think they saw that he wasn't getting over, and they second guessed themselves. And I don't think they ever want to do that again. Once they invest, once they buy you Lex Express, you're winning the belt, and you're going to be the focus of the show, and we just have to get used to it.
Yeah. Anyways, Tony Schiavone.
Why do you think they won't just have like, okay, everyone loves LA Knight, let's just give them the belt? Why do you think they won't do it?
No, I think you're right. It's because they don't want to dictate. They don't want the fans to tell them who they want. They want to tell. WWE does not want the fans telling WWE who the guy is. WWE wants to tell. What they want is to tell the fans who the guy is. They want to be the one to choose.
And I see it with fans on Twitter. Like, there's fans on Twitter that are like, they buy everything. And I've seen, these are like men in their 20s and 30s, and I could tell like they've been conditioned. They buy like, I'm gonna follow what you tell me to follow. Austin Theory is good. Roman Reigns should have beat everyone. You know what I mean? All you're just like, I can.
There's gonna be people who are gonna follow that because it's easier, right? Yeah. Wrestling at the end of the day is just supposed to be like mindless entertainment, which I will agree to. And it's easier to just have somebody tell you who to like and stuff. And I totally get it. I don't think it's as enjoyable, but I get it if you find enjoyment in that and it's easier.
I think people are going to look back to this year as WWE missed the boat 3 or 4 times in the year.
Yes.
And ultimately, it didn't. They're gonna look back as this year as I can't believe they were that dumb to do this. Because I could see like them I could see them doing LA Knight and Roman Reigns in the winter and having him lose, and it's like you killed 4 guys that could have been your guy, could have been the guy, and you didn't go with any of them.
I actually think you're right in that they don't know who the guy is. They just don't.
I'll tell you right now, the 2 guys that I would build everything around are Cody and LA Knight. I would just go with it. I would have LA Knight get Seth's belt, and maybe they will at Mania. Maybe like we're gonna give both guys belts at Mania, but I would do something with LA Knight sooner than later. They're very. I think they want to ruin LA Knight. I really do.
Yeah, or maybe they fucking want it to be like Austin Theory or something like that. Or
well, I'll tell you this though: if LA Knight does ever get the belt, or he gets to win the Rumble or something, I think he deserves all the credit in the world, because if he can get them to change their minds, then that's going to be probably the biggest accomplishment any wrestler has ever done, because I think they are dead set they have their minds made up that this guy's mid card for life.
Yes, 100%.
So
That's
if
how
he
they.
can change their mind, I think he should be the head of the Hall of Fame. LA Knight.
Yeah, I agree. I think LA Knight's good. Anyways, in this match,
Oh yeah, we're still talking about this match.
yeah, this match. It's not over, guys. Tony Schiavone's as soon as this match happens, it's over. Tony Schiavone's interviewing Ric Flair, and he's just yelling. I don't even understand what the fuck he's talking about. He's just yelling. And that's basically it. But then as he's yelling, Sting comes back out and he starts beating on the Horseman, and El Gigante just stands there. He does nothing. El Gigante just stands there while Sting's beating on. When he couldn't take on 3 horsemen, now Sting's beating up all 4 horsemen, and El Gigante's just standing there. And I was watching this, I was like, I owe Tony Khan apology. Like his shit is bad, but it's not this bad, So
Yeah, this was a bad ending. This was the 4th horrible ending for a pay-per-view main evented by Lex Luger. But it's over, and that's good.
Yeah, that is true.
It's over.
What is it?
Overall, it was okay. It wasn't the worst way to spend 3 hours.
No, I don't think it was. Actually, some parts of it I did enjoy.
There's just moments every now and then that remind you that this company is just run by idiots. And
yeah, there's still moments, even though you think some things are going to be cool, you still remember that you're watching WCW. WCW was not a good wrestling company. I'll be the first one to say it. It was not a good wrestling company.
Well, I think, and this is what I would tell Tony Khan, I think they thought as long as the work rate is good, and sometimes the work rate is excellent, that's all you need, and it's not.
No.
You complained last week that the Hart Foundation squashed the Bolsheviks, didn't have a match. And I think that does more for the Hart. If the Hart Foundation had a 15-minute match with the Bolsheviks, it would have done nothing for them. The Hart Foundation got more over in those 20 seconds than any of these guys got over in these 15-minute matches that went on and on and on. Even the ones that were good, like Road Warriors, like Rock and Roll Express versus Freebirds.
Maybe I will say this: if work rate was all that was important, then Ring of Honor would have been the best wrestling company in the world. Instead, it's fucking nobody's watching it right now.
It's turned into
yeah. Dark. I would actually say I think Ring of Honor was a better wrestling company than WCW.
Well, we're gonna put that test because when we get to 2007, we're gonna cover. That's when they started selling pay-per-views. We're gonna watch the Ring of Honor pay-per-views. I don't know how we're gonna do that, but we're gonna do it. That WWE will own AEW by then. So
yeah, that's true. I still have some old Ring of Honor VHS.
Well, if anything, if I have to, I'll get an Honor Club subscription if the pay-per-views are on. But I'll give you the password. But we have a lot to get to 2007. We have a lot. And who knows if we'll get there. But I think we will. What else are we doing with our lives, right?
That's true. I still have some of those DVDs and stuff, so we could maybe watch together and be like, I will admit, dude, some of them are really fucking good.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. It'll be fun to watch that. Like again, so this is the deal. The company had a pay-per-view. It's getting covered. So TNA, Wrestle Kingdoms, when they go on pay-per-view, are being covered. And NWA, the Billy Corgan one, AEW, and Ring of Honor. They all have pay-per-views on a traditional pay-per-view. Also, UWF next year and LPWA 92. They're on YouTube, I checked. And WWA, we're going to cover, which was the company between WCW and TNA. They had like 3 or 4 shows all on YouTube. So we're going to cover those as well.
Wow, we're actually doing a UWF pay-per-view. Nice. Wait,
yeah, 1991.
This is the Universal Wrestling Federation. What was the
Global?
What was Bill Watts' promotion called again?
UWF. It never had a pay-per-view.
They were also UW. Oh, they were UWF as well. Okay.
They never had a pay-per-view though.
They never had a pay-per-view. All right.
Yeah. AWA was the only third company to have a pay-per-view until UWF in 91. So. And also, we're covering WoW. Women's Wrestling had a pay-per-view in 2000. And I believe that's on YouTube. We're going to cover that as well. But we got plenty. And ECW, of course. So we got plenty of time. Okay, the next 4 weeks, though. Let's break it down. Next week, Great American Bash, Sting versus Ric Flair, where Sting wins the belt. He wins the big one. Then we have SummerSlam 1990, which is, Hulk Hogan versus Earthquake and Ultimate Warrior versus Rick Rude. Then we get to Halloween Havoc 90, which is Sid Vicious versus Sting for the WCW belt. And then Survivor Series 90, which features the debut of The Undertaker. So which one are you looking forward to in the next month?
I guess the very next one, really, the Great American Bash 1990 next week's, because you're telling me, I mean, I know we're spoiling it for everybody, but it doesn't matter. It's fucking over 20 years old.
30
Ric Flair is finally fucking dropping the belt, so yeah, I'm excited for that. And I feel like I've been waiting a lifetime for him to fucking drop the belt.
And as a kid, the Black and White magazine sold that event as WCW's answer to WrestleMania 6. And people, I remember when 1990 ended, Pro Wrestling Illustrated said, this year was a changing of the guard. Sting and Ultimate Warrior have stepped up. They're going to lead us through the 90s. And within a month, they both lose the belt in January. Sting loses it back to Flair in January, and Warrior loses it to Sergeant Slaughter. So, you know, they took a big swing this year, making these guys the future, and they both lose the belt as soon as 91 starts. So,
yeah. I feel like it's only been a few pay-per-views, but I feel like I've been watching a lifetime of Sting and Lex Luger both failing to get this fucking belt.
Well, you're
over and over again. I feel like one pay-per-view is Sting, the next pay-per-view is Lex Luger, and one next pay-per-view is Sting, next Luger. That's what it just feels like. And like I'm looking forward to seeing this fucking guy finally lose the belt, man. I tell you that.
Loses the belt next week, and we'll be covering that.
Ooh, Sonic has $2 shakes. Ooh, nice.
Which one is with Ric Flair's house?
Sonic. They have $2 shakes. Pretty good.
Well, we should head over there. All right, guys. Subscribe on YouTube, like I said earlier. Also, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, Ray Goots. Also on Twitter, Ray Goots. And then follow the podcast at Goots' Wrestling Pod on Instagram. And follow me on TikTok, Ray Goots Comedy. That's our show. Andrew Lee, thank you so much for being a part of this. And I'll see you next week for the Great American Bash. You excited?
Yes. Great American Bash 1990, brother.
1990, Andrew Lee, bro. Talk to you later.